Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A12 here on my left side and the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G here on my right side. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off, when it comes to build quality, both these phones being budget phones are made of fully plastic, but they definitely differ in design. The Galaxy A12 definitely has that older look with the cameras being in a square. It definitely has that older Samsung design going for it, but it doesn't feel bad or anything like that. It's got a nice dual-tone finish on the back, which I'm a big fan of. Nicely textured lines here as well. And it's overall a good-looking phone considering its budget nature, and I'm also a huge fan of this color. It looks amazing. The Galaxy A14 5G, on the other hand, has that modern Samsung design. From a distance, you'll be fooled thinking this is like an S25. It has a very similar camera layout. It's also thicker and heavier than the Galaxy A12, which I'm a fan of. It definitely feels less hollow, more durable, and more premium. Definitely, it has that modern look to it, and also it feels a little bit sturdier than the Galaxy A12. In terms of the screens, both of these phones have LCD displays. The Galaxy A12 has a 6.5-inch screen, whereas the A14 has a 6.6-inch screen. In terms of resolution, the A12 has a 720p panel, whereas the A14 has a 1080p panel. Refresh rate-wise, the Galaxy A12 is stuck with an ancient 60Hz display, whereas the Galaxy A14 has a 90Hz panel. In terms of the displays, neither of these phones are particularly great, but the Galaxy A14 definitely wins here. It's much higher resolution, 1080p versus 720p. I think these days every phone should have a 1080p screen, unless it's like a sub $100 phone. Then 720p will just about get the job done. But yeah, the 1080p screen is not to be taken for granted, and the 90Hz is definitely a very nice improvement compared to the Galaxy A12. The Galaxy A12 doesn't have that great of a screen. 720p and 60Hz is about as basic as it gets, but the A14 has a pretty good panel considering it is an LCD. Of course, it's not going to be great, it's not an OLED panel, but it gets the job done. In terms of performance, the Galaxy A12 has the MediaTek Helio P35. There is also a variant with the Exynos 850. I have the MediaTek version. And it comes with 2, 3, 4, or 6 gigs of RAM, as well as 32, 64, or 128 gigs of storage. The Galaxy A14, on the other hand, has the MediaTek Dimensity 700 or the Exynos 1330, depending on the region. I have the MediaTek version yet again, and it comes with either 4 or 6 gigabytes of RAM, or also 8 gigs actually as well as 64 or 120 gigs of storage. Both of these phones are the 464 models. Now, in terms of performance, there is nothing to compare. The Galaxy A12 is a very slow and clunky phone. Even just navigating around the UI is not smooth at all. There is a lot of lag, and this is definitely not a phone you would want to use as your daily driver. Even for the most basic of tasks, it really struggles, let alone gaming. Whereas the Galaxy A14 5G, on the other hand, is actually a pretty competent performer for a budget phone. The MediaTek processor runs smoothly enough in basic tasks, and even some gaming is possible. You won't be playing Genshin Impact on max settings with this thing, but it's a competent enough phone to be used as a daily driver. Software-wise, the Galaxy A12 originally came with Android 10, and it got updated all the way up to Android 12, though there are variants of this phone that got updated to Android 13, the Exynos version. The Exynos version is also a little bit faster, actually quite a bit faster than the MediaTek version, and it's definitely a lot more adequate, but still not great. Whereas the Galaxy A14 originally shipped with Android 13 and One UI 5, and got updated to Android 15 with One UI 7, and I don't think it'll get One UI 8. That's a bit sad, because, well, this phone is pretty decent, and I did kind of expect it to get One UI 8, but it doesn't. Oh well, it's a budget phone. I can't rip into it too much. So yeah, in terms of performance, there's no comparison. The A14 far outshines the A12. Camera-wise, the Galaxy A12 has a 48-megapixel main camera, 5-megapixel ultra-wide, 2-megapixel macro, and a 2-megapixel depth camera, as well as an 8-megapixel front-facing camera. Whereas the Galaxy A14 has a 50-megapixel main camera, 2-megapixel macro, and 2-megapixel depth, as well as a 13-megapixel front camera. In terms of overall camera quality, the A12 does have an ultra-wide, which is nice, but it's not very good. The main camera on the A14 is a good amount better, I will say. It's higher megapixels, and it's also much better image processing due to that faster processor. The front camera is also better by quite a bit on the Galaxy A14. But yeah, both these phones have very useless macro and depth cameras, and video tops out at 1080p with both as well. There's no 4K video recording unless you get the Exynos 1330 version of the A14. That one actually does have unofficial 4K video recording support enabled by the chipset. In terms of batteries, both phones have 5,000 mAh batteries, so battery life should be pretty similar. I'm estimating that the A12 is a little bit better because it has a lower refresh rate screen, lower resolution as well. But I don't know. This A14 doesn't even work, by the way. I forgot to mention it's water damage. I'm just using it as a reference for the comparison. In terms of speakers, both these phones have only one speaker. Neither of them are particularly great. So overall, which one is better? Which one should you go for? Well, there's one obvious choice, and it's the Galaxy A14. I think the Galaxy A12 should be avoided as your main phone in 2025, and if you already have one, I would highly recommend upgrading. The A14 is a good used upgrade from the Galaxy A12. If it costs like $70 or less, I would recommend buying it. It's a pretty decent mid-range phone, or budget phone, should I say. It's now a budget phone, with good enough performance to get you by, a decent screen, okay cameras, good battery life. It's pretty much a jack of all trades. It checks all the boxes it needs to. However, I would say a good upgrade from both of these phones would be something like a Galaxy A17, A26, or above. So yeah, that's the comparison of the Galaxy A12 versus A14. I hope you guys found it helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.